You're watching Every Days and Saturdays, USMC veteran. Let's go, baby. And here's your host, Brian. And what's going on, friends and family? Thank you guys so much for joining me on another great day, another great interview. And we got an amazing guest today. He served his country proud in the United States Army. He was part of the 82nd Airborne. He also went, he didn't stop there, and he continued on and went into not the reserves. Gosh, I'll let him tell his story because I'm just messing it up already. You know me. Well, anybody, if you'd like to join the show, please feel free. Shoot me an email every day of Saturday, 365 at yahoo.com. You also can find us over at YouTube at EDAS-USMC Veteran. And also, some amazing news just came out. Just found out. Made it on another top 100 list for Best Veteran Podcast. And I just got to say thank you guys so much for making that possible, because if it wasn't for everybody out there watching the show, sharing it out, liking it, and just continuing for me to be able to get our veterans and first responder stories out to the masses, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And we won't keep my guests waiting anymore. Here he is to tell his story. We got Christian Meador. And here we are. Boom. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, man. Welcome. And did I mess up that last name? Is it Meador?
Well,
or
it's Meador, but you messed it up like everybody else has. So my grandpa told me when I was graduating high school to remember that Meador is better. That's just the way. And so
now I got it. I'll lock that in quick. That's when reading is not necessarily my strong suit.
I hear you about that.
Well, man, hey, I'm excited to have you on the show, and what this podcast is all about is getting your story out to everyone else so they can hear about what our veterans have done and what they still are doing. I think it's important whether you went out and saw combat or you just served on the state side. Everybody is very critical and crucial to the mission. And I think it's important for all these stories to be told, and that way others can eventually learn from us and as well, because there's a lot of things I'm sure at your age, in my age now, we can spit a little bit of some wisdom. We've gone through some things, and probably still go through some things. But at least we're still here to talk about those things, right? So
exactly
here we, and now this is our opportunity, man, to go ahead and tell your story. Just let us know where you grew up, what made you decide to join the Army, and you weren't ready to be a Marine yet. And then, I know that, and then just let us know what you did when you got out and how that world was for you. And hey, the floor is yours now.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on, and congratulations on making the top 100. That's putting in some work, and congrats.
Very, very humbled to be on a list with such a astounding group of people. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. I was born and raised in the Seattle area. I was born at Fort Lewis. My dad was in the Army. He joined right in 1975, so right after Vietnam era. So me as a vet, I ended up, when I finally joined, I made 5th generation military.
Wow.
My son's already been in and out of the Army, so he's made 6th generation. But yeah, so I was born at Fort Lewis. My dad was out in Korea. He was in an alerts unit running around the border back in the 70s. Then he dropped his warrant officer packet, got picked up to fly medevac. Then, we started moving around. He went to Fort Rucker for flight school, and then Fort Sam Houston for medical training. And I think we were there at Fort Sam Houston outside of San Antonio. And
Definitely
then
a definition of Army brat, right there.
Absolutely. I mean, I had so much fun. Like when my dad's last active duty station was Fort Riley, Kansas. And I remember as like, it was in second or third grade or whatever, we would leave the housing area and we'd follow the creek down to the river over by the airfield. We were not supposed to go there, but that's what Army brats do is we go everywhere.
When you're told not to go somewhere, just gotta go there, right?
Oh yeah. Well, see, like on the other side, so I don't know if they still have them there at Fort Riley, but they have some buffalo that they tracked down. They traced the lineage back, to around Custer's time, and so they have this old buffalo corral. We used to jump in with the buffalo. And nowadays I go, oh, wow. That's we were basically doing the Yellowstone tossing event before it was official. So, but yeah, that was stuff like that. And then my dad got off active duty and we moved back to Seattle.
City life, huh?
Well,
a little more city.
Yeah, we grew up in a town called Des Moines. We pronounced the S there, not Des Moines, like Des Moines, Iowa. But it's right on the waterfront there. I ended up going to high school, the same high school my mom graduated high school with. So lots of generational things there in my family. And so, I graduated high school. I got married at 20, had first kid by 21. I was working on my degree for criminal justice because I wanted to get into law enforcement. And I was just hitting a roadblock with law enforcement as the Seattle area is heavy military. You've got Fort Lewis, McCord Air Force Base, Bremerton Naval Shipyard, Everett Home Port, Bangor Nuclear Sub Base. I mean, it was just drenched in military. So I was going up against all these guys who would get the veterans preference points for applying. I could score 100% on all the tests and still not get selected because I didn't have those veterans preference points. So, but my ex was very against me going into the military. And then 9/11 happened, and the where I used to work, I was a production manager for a cabinet shop, and it was right in the flight path of the airport. And that's the strangest thing, because I grew up near the airport, so always hearing planes going, and the dead silence was so eerie to not hear.
Because they grounded them all.
They grounded them all, and it was just so dead quiet and stuff like that. So it was really, really bad. And in that time, my dad was in the National Guard out in North Carolina. He didn't go to Afghanistan, but he ended up getting his unit was on the chopping block for anything else that was going to come up. And so eventually went into Iraq. So at age 26, I ended up getting, it was, 2003. The economy's crashing, no one wants custom cabinets and stuff like that. So I finally told my ex, I'm like, hey, I need to get us into a secure job, secure health insurance, pay off our college debt that we had together. Because I had an associate, she had, I put her through massage therapy school. And so, and I needed those veterans preference points if I was going to get into law enforcement. So I ended up shipping for basic October 30th, 2003. So I spent my first full day at 30th AG there at Fort Benning, Halloween, which was, interesting because as a civilian, you're used to all, holidays, but, it's just another day at Fort Benning.
And we're at war at this point in time. I mean, October 2003. I mean, Saddam's been caught, but we're still heavily in it.
Yeah, and my dad's in Iraq at that time, which is really weird. So, but before he came back from Iraq for his 2-week leave, mid-tour leave, and he actually came down before I shipped down range for basic training, and it was really awesome to have him sit there and just give me words of encouragement. And we sat there and talked for 3 hours, and the battalion commander said, Private Meador, Sergeant Meador, because at that time he couldn't keep up his flight hours, so he gave up his warrant officer commission to become a platoon sergeant. So he was a platoon sergeant in Iraq at that time. She said, take as much time as you guys need. Oh man, that pissed the drill sergeants off something fierce. I'm like, oh, great. But we already shipped, we were shipping downrange in a couple days anyway. So that was great. So I did basic training, then airborne school there at Benning. Man, I have never been in better shape after airborne school.
So now airborne is something you get selected for, or is that something you can try out for? I mean, how does the 82nd work?
So for airborne school, if you're new to the military, you can try and get it in your contract. I told the guys, I'm like, look, I'm not going, I will be airborne and I'll be infantry, because that's what my dad did. And I'm like, I want that family tradition. And so they got that in my contract. And some guys, you can get it when you re-enlist, or if your job has a specialty that requires you to be like parachute rigger. Well, if you're going to be a parachute rigger, you need to be jump qualified. So,
right.
Because I think it's like every, so the riggers have to, the guys who pack their the chutes for you, they have to be jump qualified and they have to jump their own chutes. So
yeah, makes sense. Yeah, you get it. Oh, how well did you pack your chutes? We're going to test you.
Here you go. Here's your chute. You showed up a little sauce the day before. Well, we picked one out of the pile. Hope you can jump it. Yeah. and so did airborne school. Knew I was going with the 82nd, which I was hoping for Vicenza, Italy, because the 173rd is there. It's a airborne. It's a battalion of infantry that's, it's ready to go. But I got the 82nd Fort Bragg, which it ended up being amazing. The unit was I got assigned to the 3rd Battalion, 505th Infantry Regiment. That brigade is they made all 4 combat jumps in World War II. Just about every other combat jump that happened after World War II, they were somehow involved with. And so just the storied history that you get with a unit like that was great. And then the Army came up with a new way of doing their units. So my unit, the infantry battalion, got split into 2 reconnaissance squadrons. And our commander, he got basically the pick of the litter. They said, you can pick anybody out and we will keep them in that unit. But also remember, we're bringing over Cav scouts. So it was a mix of infantry guys and Cav scouts. So 11 Bravos, 19 Deltas, all
making an A and a B squad over here, or what, man?
Well, it was a mix. It was absolutely a mix. And so what you ended up having is people who could watch a target and action on a target at the same time. Whereas, Cav scouts, their job is to watch a target and then call in the infantry guys to get it taken care of. Well, we got the best of both worlds. We're technically the first airborne reconnaissance squadron ever in the Army. So we got all sorts of money for training. Guys were going to these weird schools. There's another school. I didn't know about it at that time. Guys can go to Ranger school. Well, there's a Ranger something called RASP. It's more of a squad based kind of Ranger school. And guys went to that. Then we loaded up, got ready to go to Iraq. We had all of our containers out on the parade field, and then we went on block leave, came back. Our containers were still on the parade field. I'm like, are you saying we're not going to go to Iraq? Well, what happened was they ended up pulling our orders, but having us on standby. Oh, we're sending a crack unit to Iraq. And so, it was like, oh, so this is all for press. So we ended up still going at the same time that we were originally going to go. It just worked out weird. So we ended up going to Iraq. We were out in the Diyala province, which was the eastern side of Iraq, and we were bordered with our area of operation was on the border with Iran. And so we were out there. We ended up getting extended for 15 months. We interdicted fighters. We interdicted weapons. They had AWACS aircraft calling in stuff like, hey, we see a donkey cart coming across from Iran, and it's loaded up with plastic anti-tank mines. And Oh, it was we
So were you
got
guys
into,
there for more of a defense, or were you guys more on trying
well,
to
we
sneak into, looking for stuff till, still kind of looking,
all of
on
the
the streets?
all of the
What year is
above.
this right now? About
This is
2004, 5,
six.
Okay. Okay.
This is all we shipped over there August 2006.
Okay.
And so this is right as they're right before they start kicking off the surge. So, they're working hard to push all the bad guys out of Baghdad. Well, where else are they going to go? They're going to go to these farmland areas so they can train up. We had a reconnaissance flight, just some Blackhawks basically flying map of the earth. And when they flew over one spot, the rotor wash popped open a trap door. So they circled around, kicked some dudes out, and they found 2 40-foot containers full of weapons, Dishkas, which are the anti-aircraft battery things, and they actually found United States Army infantry training manuals converted into Arabic. So these guys, we stumbled across a group that was training off our stuff. And so we knew we had some bad guys in the area. So we hit it hard. We hit it for 3 days, did a lot of good work, and then backed off, because what we wanted to do was give them the impression that, hey, the pattern that other units had is they hit it and then quit it.
Well, were we doing any airstrikes at this time? Mortar strikes?
Yeah, no, we had
you smacking the shit out of them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there was so much ordnance we brought to bear. I mean, it was insane. Yeah. But we let them backfill in. So then a couple months later, we had a larger plan. We basically boxed in several grid squares where they were at, and it was a 2-week huge operation. I mean, we converted part of our FOB. We were literally 12 miles off the Iranian border. We converted part of our FOB, so because we were so far out to be able to refuel and arm helicopters.
You guys had bad guys all around you, man.
Oh, it was horrible.
These were in a shit hole.
Oh yeah, we were in the shit all the time. We had about 300 dudes. Our nickname ended up being Task Force 300, kind of because the movie had just came out. Yeah. And our battalion commander, squadron commander, Lieutenant Colonel Pappas, he's half Greek, so it really fit in well, kind of a storied history. So we came back, we hit it hard. Over the 15 months, we ended up losing 22 guys. Various situations. I mean,
IEDs and stuff.
IED. Well, actually, we only lost 8 dudes to IED. Well, shoot, we lost a lot of not a lot of guys, but some guys in a straight up gunfights.
Right, they had the door to doors and
yeah, and well, it wasn't door to doors. It was literally out in farmers' fields.
Oh no shit! Come up on you guys would find a group of guys that had basically taken over the farm.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And so there was one time we were out, Apaches called in, hey, we got 25 dudes advancing on your position. And we had taken over a house for the night so we could get some rest. And they had burned out our fueler guys had poured fuel in the canals and burned out the shrubbery. So that way we could have clear lines of sight.
You guys rocking with the whole company? What do you guys, how many of you guys
This was a company. We were out in the company, but we had several companies out there in the area working the mission, and the Apache guys called it in and they're like, oh, don't worry, we got them. So, the 25, this is 25 dudes. That's a straight up, that's a legit fight.
Oh, that's a big fight, man. I mean, they're coming strong. I mean, that 25, that's a good number.
Yeah. But we took our hits. I mean, we had a patrol base set up in a town of Zagania, and we got hit with double dump truck V-bits. And and that's one of the things, like we were gearing up to support our supply unit to go supply that patrol base. So we're at FOB Warhorse, which is on the other side of the Diala River. And, we're, mic checks. So everybody's spun up ready to go. And then we just hear all hell breaking loose on the radio. We see smoke in the distance. what happened is they loaded up a dump truck with a bunch of dudes, and so they got past the Iraqi police and they hit our outer wall, blew that open. Second dump truck, a minute later comes in, hits the other wall, because we ended up taking over an abandoned schoolhouse, and we ended up losing 9 guys from that. And where I typically had my gun truck parked was right where that breach in the wall was. So it was kind of crazy. But that's the nature of the beast. I mean, we were out there getting the thick of it every day. So I came back from Iraq. It was rough. I mean, it was definitely a legit combat tour. Some guys.
How long did you spend out there?
15 months.
Yeah, that's a fucking long time, man.
I
mean, couple months is a long time. 15 months.
Oh,
is,
yeah.
I don't think people realize how long that time ends up, feeling too for you sometimes.
Yeah,
you feel like you're never going home.
Oh yeah, no, it's 15 months of near constant combat. You do a lot of things. You shut off a lot of things. Emotions, worrying about things back home. And,
you forget how to live like a normal human being at that point.
Because you have to wake up. Instantly when you hear something out of the ordinary, you got to be up and on your gear and ready to put in work. So that definitely takes a toll on you. And when we got back from Iraq, I literally started to get out of the Army off of active duty. So with that, I said, I am not going to be a police officer. I didn't.
You've already seen enough. You needed to see in enough gunfights and to make it out and be able to go home. I imagine, that definitely probably changed your trajectory. Once you learned about what combat is and what it's like to hear and feel and see the screams and everything. I mean,
I looked at it. It's like I spent 15 months in Iraq dealing with idiots. I didn't want to come back and spend the rest of my life, in a career dealing with idiots here.
Right.
At least there, I didn't speak the language. Here, I know what they're saying to me. So, so that change, I'm like, I got to figure something else out. So before I got off active duty, you're supposed to go through the National Guard recruiter. So I live in Utah, and there they have a special forces unit in the National Guard. There's two 19th and 20th group are all National Guard. And so I told the National Guard recruiter, if you can get me 19th group and 25 Sierra, which is satellite communications, I'll sign the paperwork. And he said, come back tomorrow. And sure enough, he had the paperwork. And I'm like, dude, so signed up for the National Guard because I knew I needed a job change. Came back. It was pretty rough. The months in between coming back, moving in, basically reintegrating back in with my wife and kids and waiting. I couldn't get a job because I was waiting for.
So how old are your kids around this time too?
Let's see here. When I went into the Army, my son was in kindergarten. So now he's like 3rd or 4th grade. My daughter, when I got back from Iraq, she was kindergarten, 1st grade. So, they're young, they don't really understand, what, dad's gone a lot. Well, dad's in the military, but I had 4 months of being home before I went to Fort Gordon to reclass. And that was a 6-month school. And that's not the way they break it up is 3 months for the first half, 3 months for the second half for certifications. And they do that so they don't have to pay to have the family move out there. So that was, I went home every once in a while, like on a long 4-day weekend. But that was rough. And then I came back, trained, in the 19th group.
Now, is it a little bit of a struggle integrating back with your family and your kids? And, your mom, your wife's kind of been running the show. The kids are used to mommy kind of running the show. Now dad's home. And dad's like, there's things that probably mom's been doing that you're just like, hey, hold up, or, I know things happen when you're married and dad and mom's always different. So I imagine that had to be a little bit harder because a lot of us, you know, when we join, a lot of us don't have families when we join, right? You know, not too often do you hear that someone has,
Yeah.
wife and kids. So, that's a unique experience. And I got to imagine that for your kids, here comes dad, and where, he's been gone, for a year and some change. And it's got to be a hard thing for the whole
Oh,
family dynamic.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so hard to you're used to dealing with your privates, your
Yeah.
subordinates, just,
Right.
you're off and yelling at them. Well, here's my subordinates, my children, you're off and
Yes.
yelling at them. And
Right.
and that's hard, on them, especially my ex didn't really have a good grasp of what to expect when we came home. She just knew that we had one hellacious combat tour. I mean, I was home on mid-tour leave, and she got a call from the first sergeant's wife, the family support group, FRG, or family readiness group, saying that dudes in my platoon had been killed. And I'm like, what? And she's like, oh, here, I talked to him, and she's like, I'm like, I'll just call back. So I called back to headquarters, and nobody was killed. Just some of my friends got messed up. So, but yeah, it's just, it's hard for them to really feel and understand that level of like, you're gone. Dad's been checked out for so long because he's over there, and then comes back, and then you're like, hey, we're just going to throw this lean, mean fight machine in front of children and expect the best.
And that's the hard part, dude, because you're definitely not the same human being you were 15 months prior.
Exactly.
When you left them, the same person that you were not coming back as that same person after the shit that you experienced. I don't care who you are.
Oh,
dude.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And 15 months of being in a combat area, whether you saw combat every single day or not, you're just in that foreign world, and your adrenaline is always heightened because you understand that you're hated there, and there's any moment that you could have a scud drop right on your forehead. At any moment you could have a round take you out. You hear about it all the time. So going home, man, it's really hard. And the military, they've always had a saying, at least in the Marine Corps, if we wanted you to have wife and kids, we would have issued you them. Yep. And it's kind of there's kind of a reason why, because man, they don't train us that family part. They don't train us to be a dad. They train us to be a killer. Yeah. And train us to, go fight off the enemy, not go home and so even like when I came out of boot camp, came home and got married right away. I had kids real quick. My kids, even though I was out a little bit, they got treated like they were in boot camp a lot of times, like they were little recruits.
Yep.
Hello, what the hell am I doing, man? These guys ain't ready for that, But my mind didn't know how to disassociate all that, right? Because it's like in my world, if I didn't listen, you can be killed. So I associate it with my kids. If you don't listen, we could be killed, we could die. And not everything's like life or death. Whether they clean their room up, right when I said, or took 15, 20 minutes. It's not life or death there. But we all look at it like that at first.
Oh yeah, no, and it's because you basically I flip the switch. Everybody flips the switch, right? Because you're in survival mode, and my rule of thumb in my head is I will be going back to my family.
Yep.
And I will do anything I can do to make that happen. And so that permeates over 15 months, and it's so ingrained in you. And now you're back to your family, and there's no support really. The VA tries as best as they can, but I've come up with a theory that it's the best people to talk to are not these civilian therapists, because they've never been there and done that. It's these connections with these groups. That's why I was glad that I got into the National Guard, because it gave me a little bit more transition. And in the Guard, there's I'm dealing with SF guys and comms guys, but I'm the only one in there, outside of the SF guys that has a CIB, combat infantry badge, on my chest. And, in the Army, we have the combat patches on our shoulder for the units that we went there. And I'm one of the few guys that went to combat and actually, did stuff. So it's really hard for people to understand that. But I had that slow transition there. But I also, I went to work into military contracting, and I worked with drones with satellite communications. So, I was still in the world, but not in the world, but just loving that pay. So.
Yeah, so I think this will be a good opportunity for us to take a quick break. When we come back, I think it would be a good opportunity to kind of talk about how your transition was. And I think that's a good point that you bring in, that, going to the National Guard, that was probably a lot softer than just all, going from, what you were doing to all of a sudden go, figure it out in the civilian world. You at least, you were still a part of it, but you weren't part of it all the time, like you are actively. So when we come back, we'll get and talk about that. So real quick, I'm gonna show you guys a new podcast I just started, and hope you guys enjoy it. So here we go.
Division doesn't happen by accident. It's engineered, layered into our systems, etched into our history, and sold to us as truth. Divisive Measures is the podcast that pulls back the curtain. Host Brian takes you down the rabbit hole, into the policies, the propaganda, the pain, to ask one question: who profits from keeping us apart? From PTSD to systemic oppression, from inherited trauma to digital echo chambers. This show doesn't flinch. It listens. It questions. It connects. Divisive Measures, premiering July 1st on Spotify, because the only way out of the divide is through it.
All right. So yeah, that just dropped this July. I thought it would be a good one to kind of start off during Independence Day and all that stuff. Been really near and dear to my heart that I feel like our country's in a major split. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, I think, in my entire life. And as I get older, it gets more split, right? And it starting to get like more split into splits, So we're almost getting almost segregation-ish again. It's almost weird, but
it's scary.
Right. But yeah, man, so let's go ahead and talk about how your transition was. And you decided that you kind of want to kind of keep going somewhere or another, so you decided to go to the National Guard, switch it up. You decided law enforcement wasn't for you anymore, and so go ahead, man.
Yeah. So I changed jobs, satellite communications. I mean, that's big money right there, because it's this is 2008 when I got out and transitioned to the Guard. And so satellite communications is huge, especially for military contracting. So that's what I did. I worked with, let's see here, the Reaper, the Predator. One of my favorite was the U-2 spy plane. And then I spent a lot of time working on the Army's version of the Predator called the Gray Eagle. And so that was really good, because I felt connected still to the military. I was working full time doing it, still doing my Guard stuff. I worked on a lot of cool projects with the Gray Eagle program out at Dugway Proving Grounds, which is like considered Area 52. It's larger than the state of Rhode Island. It's huge. Oh yeah, the airspace is huge. So we worked on a lot of programs that were put on the aircraft, tested where I was at, and then boom, shipped straight out to the battlefront, whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan. So I really felt, I got a lot of good, that I'm helping guys downrange still, because
I worked at Northrop Grumman. So
okay.
I got that same experience just working on the F-35 program, and I still was tied into the Marines, working on the Stovall. So that's cool, man.
Yeah, no, and that's I felt a good connection with that, but I was traveling so much, and by this time I'd already been divorced from my first wife. I'm now married with my second wife, and I'm just like, I am done traveling. I need to be
with your first wife, did the deployment and all that kind of weigh on your guys' marriage and stuff like that? I mean, is that kind of really, would you say that a lot had to do with that, or?
Oh, absolutely. That's one thing I will always admit, is that definitely contributed to a big reason why we ended up getting divorced, because I was definitely not the same man that I was when we first got married.
Right.
And it was tough. It was tough for me because here I am in Utah working while my kids are up in Seattle, going through the divorce, lots of other issues with that. And, it was just so tough on them and me, and, making sure that I'm trying to earn enough to be able to pay the alimony, pay the child support, and be able to go up there and visit. I mean, at one point I was paying $2,700 a month between alimony and child support. Excuse me. And it was
I
just,
can't relate any better.
and it's like, I wanted to do something else, but what could I do? I mean, that military contracting is the only way to afford it. And then luckily, the alimony time had passed, and I felt like, okay, I'm done traveling. So I ended up, me and my second wife. So, we're living in Utah. We ended up moving up to Washington, and I spent 6 months up north of Spokane, Washington, which is right on the Idaho border. And, I spent 6 months up there trying to find a job because we were in such a remote area.
Yeah, it's real rural out there, huh? In some of those places. Yeah.
4 people per square mile.
Oh gosh, dang, dude.
Oh yeah. So luckily,
hey, Manny, how you doing?
Oh yeah, no, everybody lives on 10 acres or more. Great.
Right.
It's my kind of people kind of area now.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into telecommunications.
Sounds like a good retirement area, but not someplace if you're younger trying to go look for a job, huh? Jeez.
No, and that's the problem with that area. There is so economically depressed that it's finding a job. Any job is super hard, and those jobs aren't going to pay very well because they can choose from anyone that they want that's up there. Not a lot of industry. In the time I was up there, they lost a paper mill, they lost a mine,
and being an outsider. Shoot, man!
Yeah.
I imagine trying to get a job being the outsider. Like, no, John's kid is getting that job. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such. I think. What was it? So I got involved in a lot of things. So I to keep myself busy, I needed that involvement in a lot of other things. And so what I did was I got involved with the American Legion up there. I got involved with the VFW up there.
Awesome.
And I got involved with politics up there. And so I was able to do more and start giving back. I felt that like I need to give back. And at that roughly also at that same time, my second marriage is falling apart, but that's mostly because of her. I'll say that because, she was a cheater. And so, was that it really hits you hard because you're like, what am I doing wrong? And you're not doing anything wrong.
It hits your pride. It hits a lot. You know what I mean? It's a big dig.
Yeah. And then come to find out, talking with her first husband, because he had ended up moving up there because he wanted to be closer to his kids. And I give him mad respect for that. He's like, yeah, she did this to me when we were married. So it's like, it wasn't, so I felt good that it wasn't about me. It was more about her.
Sounds like a personality problem.
Yeah. And so it led me into being able to get into politics. I was a city councilman for the largest town up there of 2,000 people. And so, which was great. And also in that time, I was the board president of a tourism alliance. We had a lot of people on that tourism board that were like, oh, we need to do this. I'm like, why are we advertising inside the county we're trying to bring people to? And they're just like, what? I'm like, yes, that's what you do. It's all about putting butts in the seats, because their dollar, once that dollar is spent, it goes around 7 times in the community. And so that's big. And so, I got heavily involved in that. We ended up creating a Bigfoot festival. So literally in the most northeastern corner of Washington, it's like 8 miles to the Canadian border, 10 miles to Idaho, to a town of 250 people.
Wow.
The last year I was the board president that we put it on, we brought 8,000 people in for a Bigfoot festival. And that's awesome. That's that good feeling I got. Like, I'm helping out the community. I knew it was a Band-Aid, but it was something, we had one of the ice cream vendors, they had a line out their door would average 45 minutes to an hour for people to get ice cream. And I'm like, that's exactly what we need in this community and stuff like this to bring those outside dollars in until something else, whether it's, some sort of whatever industry. And so I have a strong connection with that community, and I still do to this day, because I've made a lot of solid friends, a lot of, those connections that really helped me personally get through, a lot of the traumas that I'm still, affecting from combat, because, I made a lot of good friends who had been in, different units for combat, whether it's, Vietnam or Desert Storm or, Iraq or Afghanistan, but those were people that I could connect with and have, real conversations without, like, oh, well, I'm, talk about human body parts, people don't get, most people don't like, ooh, and it's like, well, this is this is nothing to me. This is like, I've seen dudes blown up. Okay, cool. It's not going to hurt me. But then I moved back down to Utah here for my third wife, and which was really great for me. It was because I got hooked into a lot of positive things down here. I mean, like Utah's, I will never live in the state of Washington again, just for the sole fact of here in the state of Washington or state of Utah, I pay no income or no property taxes on my home because I'm 100% rated through the VA.
Nice.
And that's huge. And
that is huge.
That's my last year's tax bill would have been $3,800. And so that's just money back in my pocket, which was nice for us to have back in our, that the community, the state of Utah cares enough. I mean, plus, I was just up there in Seattle over the 4th of July weekend. I saw gas at like $5 a gallon. Here in Utah, it's like $3.25 a gallon. And I'm like, that's
Washington's very California-ish.
Oh no, it's so bad. And because I've got some small business interest stuff, because I'm into cryptocurrency mining, and Washington State is the cheapest power you can get. So I have a small scale operation up there.
Oh, damn.
And I'm looking to expand it just because the power rates are so cheap. But with all the new taxes the state of Washington has levied, it's really made it. I'm thinking, like, do I want to do it up there? But that's for a different subject. But yeah, so I moved back to Utah, got connected in the veteran community down here, and really got going into some things like so one of the groups, Warrior Revival, that I got into, they're focused on getting veterans basically out of the house and connecting. So through different activities, they do mountain bike riding, they do side-by-side riding. They were trying to do skydiving. They got all ready to go, but the winds were too high. They've got a group of guys that are trying to do climb Mount Whitney in California.
Oh yeah.
So it's just about really creating that veteran community that you have, and creating activities that you don't have a lot of other veteran stuff going on. I mean, yeah, look at, I mean, there's always something to do. They're always
damn near every week they got something, it looks like, going on. So
yeah, and
it's
the
month of July.
Yeah, and it's no, like many organizations, there's no paid people. The board president who founded Warrior Revival, she's a clinical therapist for the VA, and so she saw a need and filled that need, and it's great. And they really hit home with a lot of positive things that they're doing, because like their coffee hours, here it's Utah, there's a lot of Mormons here. I'm Mormon as well, but it's getting out and interacting and just like shooting the breeze with other veterans, that really just that little bit of conversation may help that vet get through the next week. So it's really, really a great organization. Oh, look at that. I'm right there. We're doing an archery event and I'm in the middle.
Hey.
But yeah, it's really, I mean, just such a great group of people. Everyone's volunteers.
That's awesome. I see, and it's a good mix of females and males in there. It's, you know,
And that's that
what
to
I
me,
like to see.
that's huge because
That is huge because you always
there's
see it be really heavily kind of on the male side a lot of times. So that's awesome that you guys have
yeah,
a mix in there.
yeah, because the state of Utah does really good tracking on their numbers. 9% of all the vets in the state of Utah are women, and you know, having in Iraq, we had female mechanics, female water purification people. We had several females out in our unit, but they were out there in the thick of it. Like a good friend of mine, she was our water purification specialist. She was driving lead Humvee on combat missions. And, you know, it wasn't, and she was one of the ones that got hit while I got that call while I was home on leave. She ended up taking a piece of shrapnel about the size of my thumb through her knee, getting hit with an IED. But, you know, it's a great, it's a great thing that we try and include so many females because they're just as important as I don't consider them this sounds weird. I don't consider them a female. I consider them a veteran because
that's not weird, man. That's 100%. And that's how it needs to get.
Yeah. Because
you know what I mean?
They rose their right hand. They put their ass on the line, just like, everyone else did. And so that's huge.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. One of the other organizations I work with, Dive Into Healing. So this is a veteran scuba program. And out of Johns Hopkins University, they actually did some studies, and through diving, it helps with PTSD, helps with TBI. It helped, so we've created a veterans diving program where you can actually get certified as a scuba diver. And for me, my story is, obviously I got blown up in Iraq, just like, everyone else did. Took traumatic brain injury hits, jumping out of airplanes. It's never 5 points of performance like you're supposed to do. It's feet, ass, head numerous times. And one time I did get knocked out on the drop zone and drug, but so I spent 30 days in a program.
Yeah, you guys is jumping, man. I've seen some videos, man. That shit don't look like it's an easy landing.
Oh no, because when I was in, I was about 220 plus all the extra added gear.
Yeah, dude.
So you can be about 400 pounds, and you're coming in hot. And so when you land, it's the equivalent of jumping off a 2-story building. And so, you hit and it hits hard. So you get those traumatic brain injuries from smacking your head on the ground. Well, I spent 30 days in a program where I was twice a day going into a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, breathing pure oxygen twice a day for an hour each session. And so what that does is under pressure, it pushes that pure oxygen deeper into the red blood cell, and the red blood cell goes to work on your traumatic brain injury because you've got point A to point B. Traumatic brain injury breaks that connection. So when you see those guys that sit there like their computers loading up, that's their brain trying to get to that information, the long route. And so with that hyperbaric oxygen therapy, that helps fix that connection. Well, not everybody has access to a hyperbaric chamber because these are huge steel tanks. So what they found through diving, the pressure and I would say more purified air, because it's still about 21% oxygen, helps with that. Like I've spent time in the pool just floating, and my joints feel that release because they're not under pressure.
Yeah.
And so, it drowns out all the noise because all you hear is, the sound of you breathing oxygen. And so, I volunteer with that program. I'm now an advanced scuba diver. In March for my birthday, I said, screw it. I'm going to Cozumel. I'm going to go dive down there, which was absolutely amazing. But then, so that's, that helps with that. Another program I've worked with, Heroes to Heroes. This is a program that focuses on moral injury and spiritual injury through your time in service. And part of so it's a year-long program there. You meet with a group once a month. and you sit down and you talk and you work through their program. And part of it halfway through is they take you to Israel for 10 days. So I was able to, I went there. I was supposed to go October 9th, 2004. But unfortunately, the Gaza Strip attacked on October 7th. So my trip got pushed back a year. And so this program, we saw all the holy sites. And since they had the war
Journey
with
to
Gaza,
Israel. Damn.
yeah, we went and saw, all the holy sites. And it was during the, well, there's still technically a war going on between Lebanon and Gaza. And so nobody was there. So we were able to spend time in these holy sites and be able to make a better reconnection. For me, I felt like I'd kind of fallen away with my connection with God. And so at one point we're the house of Caiaphas in the pit, and they could say with 100% assurity that Jesus was in this pit. And, just that's powerful to know that, 2000 years ago, whether you believe or not, but there's this man named Jesus that went through all this suffering and he was in this pit. And that really hit hard with me, because there's all these other sites, it's kind of maybe somebody was here, maybe this is Jesus's site. And the churches through the years have built up like all these shrines and temples around it. But to me, this wasn't, built up. This wasn't a big, money draw or, big. And through that trip, I prayed at the Western Wall a couple times, just went to places that no one has the ability to go to on their own, and was able to make that reconnection. And that picture right there, that's the founder, Judy Elias, really great lady. Her husband's Jewish born, but he's an American citizen, served in the Air Force. So she, had that connection. And what was great is that through this program, when we were over there, we had two IDF, Israeli Defense Force soldiers with us, one who had done time in Gaza and one who was active duty. And so to hear their stories and it's like, oh, they're just like us, regular Joes doing their job that they've been to. And so this program really helped me make that a good reconnection spiritually, and it really helped me out mentally a lot. So that's the Heroes to Heroes program.
Oh man, that's awesome. I like it.
Yeah. So the Travis
really
Mills,
awesome, really some awesome programs, man. I mean,
I'm
this is
so
why
lucky.
I love doing this. These podcasts is because you learn so much that's out there. And there's just so much more, man. I mean, and if there ain't something out there, you could always start something. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah. And this program here, I went through it in December. That's the PATH program through the Travis Mills Foundation. It's actually based on a program created by the Boulder Crest Foundation. They have 11 sites throughout the U.S., but I went through the site in Maine for their PATH program, and it's based around post-traumatic growth. So the reason why I picked this program is my former sergeant major that I went to Iraq with, he's a guide here, kind of like an instructor, but he's a guide here. All the guides there are either prior military, law enforcement, or firefighters, because the program is based around these services train you to do a job, but they never train you to deal with the traumatic incidences that you experience. And so it's a week-long program. Well, it's upfront a week at their sites, and then it's 90 days after that. But it really focuses around retraining you, basically, and they call you out on your shit.
Nice.
And that's the great thing is all these guides, there's no filter. Good. And they come at you real, and it hit
people
hard
need that, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a phenomenal program because Travis Mills, he's one of 5 quadruple amputees that have lived from Afghanistan and Iraq.
And so, imagine that's him right here.
No,
No,
he's
no.
no,
He has limbs. No,
you'll,
he has. Yeah.
yeah, you'll see him somewhere in the pictures, guy that's, well,
Is
no,
he
that's
in?
not, no, that's not him.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's him
Yeah,
right here.
but
Okay.
yeah, he's in there,
Wow.
but oh, there he is right there.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've
but
seen
yeah,
him on a podcast before. Okay.
yeah, I wish I could have met him, but this is the facility that he's done it. And this facility here, they kind of boast that they do the program the best. They have an 80% success rate. I think that's what it is that
Wow.
got 80% of the guys that go through the program finish it out. Because once you finish it out, you're really in a position that you could help other people. And it's so amazing that, they get real with you. They call you out on your crap, but they guide you through going out. Like it's 6:30 in the morning till 9 at night, roughly, that you're doing stuff. So you don't have time to sit there and stew in your room. Like at 6:30, we're journaling, and by 7 o'clock, we're doing what they call tactical stretching, which is yoga. And the instructor, she's very cool. She's like, okay, what's hurting on you guys? I'm like, my low back. And so we would work out doing yoga on our backs and stuff like that. And this program really just, I mean, to be able to sit there, talk, work through your crap with complete strangers, and come to find out one of the guys that was there, I didn't know this, but he went to Iraq with me, and I didn't know that he was going. And so to be able to have that experience with them is so huge. And the work that you put in, and they just don't like, all right, program's done, there you go. No, they went out, Boeing sponsored them on an app to be able to have communication. You go in there,
nice.
They've got a daily thought, they check in on you. It's really, it's not like you're done with the program and you go. So but those are some of the programs that I've worked with. I'm now currently the VFW commander of my post, which is really helpful. Like in my last meeting, I'm like, hey guys, we got to remember this, what we do here. This is a great organization, but it's about the veterans to our left and to our right, because we have to be able to bring in the new guys so that they can keep the post going, to help keeping veterans to be able to help out. And I'm also heavily involved with the DAV, Disabled American Veterans, and she's a member of my post, but she's the commander of that DAV. So we work well together, because we feel that there's some people are like, I'm American Legion, I'm DAV, right, I'm VFW. Yes. It's like, I don't care. I will refer
us
somebody.
First them too much mentalities, right?
No, we're three different. It's like, the Marines, the Navy, the Army. We're three different branches, but we all work together for the same goal. So these three different organizations, we all have to work together, because it's about helping the veterans to our left and to our right. And that's where I've gotten a lot of help for myself, is helping other veterans to continue to get them services or what have you. We've recently had one of the guys through the Warrior Revival program. He came across a veteran who was living out of her car, waiting to get into treatment at the VA here in Salt Lake. So we're like, that's unacceptable. And we put the call out, and we were able to get her into a hotel, paid through veteran services service organizations, till she could start that program, Tuesday. So we got her in a hotel, so that way she was safe. She had, and that's what it's all about to me in working with these programs, because if we don't bring on the next vets, because my son's a vet, he's 27, and he's a vet. He said, Dad, I want what you had through what you were able to get through the military. I'm like, okay, then you're going to go communications. And so he did communications in the Army, got out with his clearance, was a contractor for the Navy up there in Seattle for a little while. And then now he works for the Washington State Department of Transportation on their HOV lane. So he manages and operates the network, the computing network for that. And I'm like, that's what we have to look at. Is one of the things that my dad told me is not about get everything out of the Army that you can, because the Army will get everything out of you. And so getting those skills is what helped me get into telecommunications and do so well. That's what helped my son do so well. My dad's he's now retired, but a physician's assistant. He got those skills through the military, and so setting him up for success, setting up other veterans for success, because at the end of the day, when you call another vet, they're going to jump up and like, all right, I'll get my shovels. We'll bury that body. They don't ask. It's the best line. It's, I believe the movie's called The Town, where Ben Affleck asks Jeremy Renner, I got to do something terrible. I don't need you to ask any questions, yada, yada, yada. And Jeremy Renner goes, whose car we're going to take?
Right.
And that's
who's
how
driving?
Who's driving? And that's the veteran community, because and that's what we need to have, is the guys to our left and to our right, because we have to keep them up and running, because we can't let veterans fall to the wayside. And there's so many things. I mean, the VA has so many ridiculous rules. There's good people who work at the VA, but it's so hard.
They're bound.
Yeah,
right.
They're bound. And so, my dad actually worked for the VA before he ended up resigning after like 9 months, because he was trying to help other veterans and he just couldn't. And so, that's why I'm heavily involved with these other veterans programs, because I get the, what fills my bucket is helping out these other veterans. I mean, the DIE program, we had one guy who, he literally called us up and said, hey, do you have any slots for tonight? He's a EMT now, and he saw some pretty traumatic stuff. He's like, I need a dive session. And, yeah, we got a slot for you, man. I'll sit on the side of the pool instead of going down and diving with the guys to facilitate having a guy with that slot. I mean, that's, and that's, to me, that's the most important thing for me, is to be able to help a veteran to my left and to my right.
And something that I had said the other day is, if every one of us kind of had that mission in mind to save just one veteran, how many veterans could all of us save? You know what I mean? If we all had that in mind, just to like, hey man, as long as I could just save one, and I think that if we all kind of had that same mentality, we could definitely help our brothers and sisters, because there's still too many numbers coming across the board that are, they're taking their lives at their own hands, and we're still giving numbers to the enemies by doing such a thing, So it's very frustrating, right? I mean, to hear it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, one of the guys from my unit, he ended up killing himself about 4 or 5 months ago. And it's like, dude, I tried, I thought everything was okay going, forward, but, he lived in New Hampshire. I lived here. So it's social media stuff. And, there's a couple times you can see a post that are, you're like, I think something's up. And if you think something's up, more than likely it is. And you got to hit them up, and I tried what I could through, distance.
That's why it's important. I think sometimes that when you think a thought, to act on the thought, and do, like that intuition that's there, and, sometimes when you're, even if maybe you're wrong, right? You're like, dude, something just, that post really just didn't seem right. Right. Or
yeah,
he doesn't normally talk like that. You know what I mean? And then you got to start asking the harder questions. And that, I think, is rough sometimes for us men to do.
Yeah,
is to get into the emotional sides and the feeling sides, and we always try to act like we're tough. I mean, I even have buddies that, used to call each other bitch or something all the time, because you didn't do something or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, I think everybody, we're all humans, and no matter what you're put through, you have feelings, and there's still the human side to everybody. And that's the thing that we can't forget. And, I think a lot of times too, a lot of us veterans are looked at as, they were in the Army. They're tough as hell. Oh, they're Marines. They're good. You know what I mean? And sometimes that can't be any further than the truth. Sometimes that dude is so fractured, but we've learned how to carry on with all of that.
Yep.
Shatteredness.
Suck it up and drive. Suck it up and drive on.
Yep. Yeah. Here's a straw. Here's a straw.
I mean, how many times has it been, I'll use this example. A couple blocks down the street from me, there was a Domino's Pizza car hit the gas pipes. Firefighters are working on the gas pipes. Little do they know the gas is leaking in, and it blew up. And us as humans, we'll take these little digs and stuff like that, but inside it's almost a cancer, and it's breaking you up, and then until it explodes, and then you have the veteran, unfortunately killing themselves or doing something awful. And it's just like, we're suck it up and drive on. Well, that only takes for so long before it explodes. And one of the things in the PATH program that they talk about is we have this rucksack that we keep building and putting crap in, but we never process and take those things out. So our burden continues to increase. And until we start taking those things out and working, taking those uncompartmentalizing those problems and issues, it's just going to be a burden that continues to weigh you down, and those need to get taken care of. And that's how I see a lot of veterans these days, that they just don't have the option or ability at that time to be able to take those burdens out, because they're so like, oh, he's in the Army, he can do it. It's like, no, man. I was a lean, mean paratrooper, but man, I've got a soft side too.
Right. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, I cried to your movies,
Bambi's mom died.
But yeah, what you said there goes a lot along my analogy, is that life's like climbing a mountain. And that even makes more sense as you wouldn't go scaling a mountain without a pack, right? Well, the heavier that pack is, the harder that climb's going to be. So the more burdens that we carry, the harder our climb will be going up that mountain. And the times when it starts to rain and get slippery slope, you don't want to have that heavy ass pack, because you got to really try to dig in. Yep. And that's why I think that it's important for us to have shows like these, for us to all talk about things, so the younger generations, these young 20-year-olds, have a better chance than my 20-year-old self did.
Oh yeah.
And I think that we all owe those generations a fighting chance. Hey man, don't fucking go down that road right there, because that road, I'll tell you, there's all these little things that are going to happen. You can warn them all you want sometimes too, right? And they still might go through it, but at least you gave them the caution of, hey, that's not good. It's going into something, it's always nice to have a little bit of awareness of what you're getting yourself into, right?
Yeah.
So these kind of things provide the next generation a little bit of hope, or a little bit of that maybe they can do better. Maybe they have a better chance to be a better dad right off rip, a better husband right off rip, a better, worker, coworker, human being, whatever it may be, right off rip. Because we all have been, trained to be the baddest ass mofos in the world. We are the best fighting force there is. No one wants to get in a pit fight with America, right? Because the men and women that train here are just next level badass. Yeah. And we had the luxury of serving next to them, and as badass as we were on the fighting field, we still need to be able to be the same off the field. And sometimes all we fucking got is each other. So at the very minimum, these nonprofits, these 501c3s that are out there that are really trying to, hey, maybe the VA is failing us, but you know what? There's a lot of brothers and sisters that are really trying to help bridge that gap between the VA and your problems. And they're trying to help bridge a gap and fill those voids, give you an opportunity to take your mind off something, get around others that are experiencing the same shit, give you some tools for your toolboxes. So when you go back home, you can utilize those things.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad you came on and shared, that's 4 great, great, nonprofits out there, or, foundations that are out there for our brothers and sisters that have helped you.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can stand behind them and say, dude, these are legit. And so that's one of the things that I like to do on the show is make sure we highlight those and push it out there, because I want everybody to know, hey man, you like riding horses, there's horse nonprofits out there. You like flying out of planes, we got those too. What you need, what you want, man. Let's get you better. Let's get you to be that badass warrior out on the civilian world too, because we have a lot to offer, and a lot of times we let those great trainings and everything we do go subside, and we just kind of go get stuck in a bedroom, a garage, and then we're just self-soothing ourselves.
Yeah, because there's that younger generation that we need to continue to keep working on, because the organizations that we talked about, the VFW, DAV, American Legion, those organizations kind of bridge that gap and helping get that younger generation. But like the VSOs, veteran service organizations, VFW, DAV, and American Legion, they have the hardest time getting in those younger guys, because they're looked upon as that's the old guys drinking club. Whereas my VFW post, we meet at a fire station. We don't have a bar, we don't have a cantina, because there's a lot of guys that don't want that environment. But we're
some
also
of them are recovering,
alcoholics. Exactly. Right. And so we trying to offer programs and things for these younger guys, because I think what these older service organizations don't see and do is programs that really get in these younger guys. Because I was talking with one of the guys, he's like, I have a family, man. I can't make these meetings because I've got soccer, I've got, ballet, I've got, he's got all these family oriented things. And it's like, dude, I understand. I've been there, but I'm also here for you. If you need something, these organizations are here for you. If one of them doesn't have the answer, I've got 13 that'll be able to find an answer and get you the help that you need. It's getting and reaching these younger guys to understand that we older guys are here for you, because we've been there, done that, know what you're up against, and we want to support you, because when I'm old, I need someone else wiping my ass. So
100%, man. And it only makes sense though for us as we do become the older generation of veterans, right? Like we should be actively looking at the VA facilities that house older veterans, and making sure that our brothers and sisters are adequately being taken care of at those facilities, because gosh damn it, man, your ass might be sitting in there one day too, right? And you want to have a nice place to go sit and just chill, right? I mean, so there's just things that we sometimes I feel like we just get it stuck in our own lanes, but there. If you do want to go out there and have a purpose in yourself, there's a lot of things you can do locally in your little communities, and just to start there, right? That's kind of where you've been, bro. You seem to always find a way to get yourself involved in your community, whether it's in the politics or through veteran organizations. So you're living proof, man. If you want to go do it, it's there.
And that's the thing, is that some people don't like it, but I live like I don't care what other people think. I mean,
right. And that's how everybody got it, man. That, what, dude, you got that one up on everybody, I mean, that's people don't understand when you get to that level, your next level, when you can stop kind of living your life for everybody else and giving a shit about what everybody thinks about what you do, how you do it. It's hard. It is really hard life to continuously. It's exhausting not to be yourself or just to live for you and be yourself. So I appreciate that more than ever, and I live the same way, bro.
Yeah, to me, I've got more days behind me than ahead of me, so I'm going to do what I want,
Yes.
within the legal limit.
Yeah.
I'm not
Might
setting up
press that envelope a little bit. Hey.
exactly, but that's and that's the thing is that I've been there and done that on a lot of things that not a lot of other people get to experience, but yet I have to be true to myself, but I also need to understand that there's so much out there. I never thought I'd be a scuba diver, but I love it, and it's a program that was brought to me through another veteran, and it's just that stuff is doing what I want,
thing, man. And you did something that was different to you, and now you found a new love. So I mean, that's another thing. I think there's a lot of us that we get so like, I don't do that. That's not me. And then they don't even give it a try, right? And to me, I think you're doing yourself this service by not, at least trying something. And then if you don't like it, boom, you're done. But the luxury now is, man, when you get to be, a veteran and you're older, and we basically get to pay to do what we want to do, and and live life the way we want to live it, right? And like you said, man, we're more probably on the shorter side of things than on the largest things. So don't got time to sit there and worry about what the hell everybody else is worried about.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's if I could get my life organized, that I'm trying to get. So I'm big into cryptocurrency. If I can get I just need an investor. I've got it all planned out. And then I don't have to work for anybody. It's not that I don't love my job. It's just that I don't like I don't want to work for somebody. I want to work for myself. And, and it's being able to, which I feel will give me the opportunity to continue to do what I want to do, whether it's, scuba diving or, climbing a mountain or, what have you. It's, we're trading time for money, and I'm on the short end of time, and there's other things I still want to do, and it's just making that drive. And that's one of the greatest things about. I said this in a coffee hour with with Warrior Revival, was that the vet, I was sitting around this table, there's about 10-15 veterans in there. I'm like, honestly, this room right here of veterans, if there was a problem, we could figure out how to get it taken care of. And I could say that confidently. I can't say that confidently about a lot of, civilians. And, and it's not that there's not hard chargers out there. It's just the mold of veterans is so different than anything in the civilian world. And we were put into so many situations like, here you go. Yep. Make it happen. And you're like, I've got 2 sticks and I got to take down this wall to get into the enemy. All right, cool.
We're trained to figure it out. There's no I can't, or we're not going to. It's you're gonna make it happen,
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the key characteristics that we walk away with. And I couldn't agree with you more, man. You put a a room full of veterans and put a mission in front of them, they're going to kill it. They're going to knock it out of the ballpark, and they're going to give you something good. Something that we have that a lot of people are starting to lack is critical thinking. There's a lot of times we're put into spots, like you said, man, don't even have adequate equipment, and you got to get the job done. We don't got time to say, well, I can't. I don't know.
Yeah. No, in Iraq, we were given a situation that in our large operation, we had 3 avenues that we could come in on this one side, but we had one avenue that had a pretty large creek. And so we came up with an idea of, you've got these things called the PLS system, platform loading system. So you can either load vehicles or equipment on it or containers. We took one of those platforms, modified it so we could make our own bridge across this creek, and we tested it with a Bradley. We were able to get a Bradley across this bridge. It was nowhere near rated for the weight for this, but we were able to make it happen. And so what that opened up, was we now had a 4th way for us to attack the objective. And, that's what what the military does is like, all right, here's this problem. We need to solve this. Well, we can't fill in the creek with dirt. That's pretty easy, but then the water just goes everywhere. All right, we'll sacrifice a platform, convert it. And, I drove the truck, laid the platform across the bridge, undid it, and was the first person across that. I mean, that's such an accomplishment that, you're thinking like, oh yeah, a team of combat engineers, they got this bridge building system, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we're going to take, we got some baling wire and some twine, and we're going to make ourselves a bridge. And that's what we did. But that's just the veteran mentality, is like, I'm going to make it happen.
And a lot of times you don't got a choice when it comes to life or death, right?
Yep.
You don't want the death part, so you're going to always choose life. And like you said earlier, you have in your mind, I'm going to make it home.
Yep.
And so that's one thing that I definitely can say in the veteran mentality. We're always put up against something, and the objective is to win and not fail, right? And that's one of the things I think is hard as being a civilian too, is the amount of failures on the outside of being in the military is crazy, and you're not ready for it all, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know, I got really big at one point into a lot of motivational stuff and yada, yada, yada. And, failure is just another step to success. And, it's
absolutely,
people just like, oh, it's like, really, after the first attempt, you're just going to fail and just give up. There's you just got to keep going. I mean, I had a goal, I wanted to be airborne. I'm not a runner. I suck at running, but you have to make 15 minutes and 45 seconds on a 2-mile run. And I got it in at 15 minutes and 30 seconds. I had 15 minutes or 15 seconds to spare. But that's the thing, is I had a goal, and it wasn't easy to get to.
You wanted it bad.
I wanted it bad because in the end, I ended up getting my airborne wings pinged on me, and they were my dad's original airborne wings that he got pinned with. And that's some family history right there.
And you definitely didn't have a choice but to get them damn wings, dude. So
no, that's that's
the other thing, is you get that family motivation going on.
Oh yeah, no, and unfortunately, my dad wasn't able to pin it on me because he was in Iraq. I mean, but
I was probably over there the same time he was. I was over there 2003. I don't know if he was a part of the first.
He was in the invasion, and that he did 3 tours.
Oh shit!
3 tours, damn. Yeah. And when I was coming out of my tour, he was coming in for his second. I actually got to spend time with him at his base, Fob Rustamaya. And I know a lot of people like, oh yeah, my brother, oh yeah, my cousin. I actually got to spend time with my dad in a combat zone.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody.
I don't think I've heard of a mom and a daughter. I don't know if they went in the combat zone together, but they actually did the exact same job too.
Yeah,
it's funny. Not too often do you get to hear those great stories, but I love to hear them. And man, I appreciate you, coming on and talking about your story and all the great organization you've been a part of. And this is what we need, man, is just more brothers and sisters come out, tell their stories, and share the great things that you're experiencing out there, so others can learn about it as well. So I thank you so much, man. Is there anything that you want to say or anything that we forgot to talk about that you want to?
Not that I can think of, man. I appreciate your time and your platform, because I mean, the organizations that you share, I don't, if I put my name behind it, I really feel that those are, legitimate organizations. And I appreciate you allowing me the chance to share them. And, just if I helped another veteran out, then, I'm so that fills my bucket that, potentially another veteran got some information to be able to do something better for himself.
Yep, man. And that's what we need, is keep spreading the information. That's not withheld it. If there's something out there that helped you or you really liked, share with your brothers and sisters. Let them get a piece. Let them get some too. You know what I mean? Let them fill their buckets. I think that's at the end of the day, we would love for everybody to be successful and have, a smile on their face, man. And I really do appreciate you, Chris, and I really appreciate you continuing to, give a shit about our brothers and sisters out there. And like I said, thank you so much for everything, man. And thank you for your time. And thank you for your service, most importantly. And you have an amazing day, brother.
You too. Thank you on everything.
All right. We'll see you.
See ya.
All right, friends and family. We're going to go ahead and end it right here. And I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Remember, there's some great opportunities for all of you guys out there. We'll go through that again. The Warrior Revival. I'll be sure to put all of these links in the description of the show as well, so you guys can go check them out for yourself. There's the diveintohealing.org. There's the heroes.org. And there's the travismillsfoundation.org. All great organizations out there to help you along the way in your journey. Getting out of the military is never easy for us. It's a really hard transition for a lot of us. And I hate to hear the horrible news of a brother or sister out there taking their own life. And remember, if you're out there struggling and you want to talk to someone, maybe you don't want to talk to someone directly that you know, there's a crisis lifeline, 988 veterans, press 1. And if you want to, talk to someone discreetly, they should be able to help you or, put you in the right direction in terms of resources and all that. Also, don't be afraid. You can always email me. Every day is a Saturday, 365@yahoo.com. I can always be here to listen, and maybe I can help you and point you in the right direction and get you into a organization, because I've been blessed to meet so many great nonprofits and people that have gained great experience from these different nonprofits as well. So you know how we say on the show, don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it, and we'll see you guys till the next time.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.